Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to talk on the topic freedom and equality, idea and interrelationship. With the understanding of journalism, I think it is very much necessary to understand the roots of political science because it is where one can sit back and think about the real ideas and reflect. So let's see. As freedom and equality, the concept of freedom and equality is very much, I will say, subjective. Your definition of freedom and equality is very much different from my understanding, and everybody has their own definition of freedom and equality. So that is why it is in the opinion section. And yes, I will just discuss what I think and how I approach the topic of freedom and equality and how they are interrelated. As a media graduate, I have learned to understand or deal with any topic with the method of 5 W's and 1 H. That is, what, when, where, why, who, and how. I started asking myself, what is freedom and equality? Why there is a need for freedom and equality? Who will give us freedom and equality? Where to find freedom and equality? When we will know we have achieved freedom and equality? And how much does freedom and equality cost? Also, how freedom and equality are related. To be honest, I was overwhelmed by these questions because they might sound easy, but I have never really tried to understand or even question such things before. The more I read about equality and freedom, the more confused I was getting about what is right and what is wrong, what is reality, and how these concepts are away from the reality. Moreover, the nature of these concepts are subjective and subtle. Everyone has their own definition of freedom and equality. I started asking myself how to understand these concepts at individual level or at community level. Whether I should understand this topic with intrapersonal level of understanding or at society level. Maybe thinking these questions have a distinctive nature was a mistake. Maybe these questions are not meant to be compared, contrast, or distinguished, but they are complementary, interdependent, and interrelated. I was trying to put freedom in a box, I was putting equality in a box, I was putting myself in a box, and the society in another box. But I did not understand the box, the compartments are not there. It is a whole jar of ideas which are mixed together. So, the concept of freedom and equality are interrelated. Firstly, to understand equality, I started wondering what is truly equal. The answer came in my mind was 2 cups filled with 50 ml of water. Well, that is physical science. But how humans can be equal? Because the concept of equality is about comparing or relating one thing to another. Is there any parameter to measure it? Even though some scholars might have considered welfare, resources, and capabilities to measure equality in society. But it is just impossible to fulfill the desire of equality. We all are born at different place, time. Our genes are different, our upbringing is different, even our choices, ambitions, and desires are different. When we know equality does not exist in nature itself, then why we desire equality? Perhaps because it is in the human nature to have this sense of bringing equality in society, which helps us to recognize our self worth. It creates a positive mindset and an environment where one feels justice and freedom to be comfortable in their own being and achieve their dream. Recently, I started learning guitar, where my left hand is used to press strings on fretboard. I need to use all my fingers to play guitar. I realized my pinky finger is weak compared to my forefinger. And if I'm not able to play a music note correctly, I cannot argue with my music teacher saying all my fingers are equal and I am perfect guitarist. It is not my music teacher's fault, but it is my fault as I procrastinated practicing. So I need to be more determined to learn guitar and practice daily. Then only my unequal fingers in length but equal in strength will be able to play a melodious song. Just like fingers, we citizens are not equal socially, economically, physically, intellectually, and so on. But at the end of the day, the goal is to achieve equality of opportunities. According to Plato, social position should be based strictly on individual ability and effort, and the educational system should offer all children equal chance to realize their talents. It means at least the starting point of a running race must be equal for all, while winner of the race depends on the practice, courage, and a fair game. While natural inequalities are inevitable, social inequalities that breed from social circumstances such as poverty, disability, unemployment are morally wrong. On the other hand, the desire for equality of outcome is controversial. According to Rousseau, material inequality would lead to enslavement of the poor and deprive them of both moral and intellectual autonomy. Additionally, inequality would corrupt rich, making them selfish and vain. Rousseau thinks a high level of social equality is vital for social harmony and stability. But if all students in a class are getting A grade in the name of equality of outcome, it would be unfair for the students who worked hard for the test. As Aristotle put it, injustice arises not only when equals are treated unequally, but also when unequals are treated equally. I think equality of opportunities and effort to bring equality is necessary. Then only all the citizens of country will feel empowered, live in harmony and develop, just like how a harmonious song is played on any instrument. Secondly, when I think about the word freedom, I think about the Indian freedom struggle and how we wanted Swaraj, that is self rule. The meaning of freedom is when one rule their own world. Freedom is the power to express oneself. It must give us a sense of fulfillment and self realization, and it does not mean to be left alone to act how one chooses without thinking about the consequences. To understand freedom, Isa Berlin categorized it into positive and negative liberty. As you can see in the image, negative liberty is breaking the shackles, freedom from, for example, freedom from discrimination, while positive liberty is freedom to think, freedom to write, freedom to make organization, etc. Now let's understand what negative liberty means. Negative liberty is absence of constraint, where one is able to exercise choice and there is presence of condition that enable one to actuate the choice. In negative freedom, an individual is considered as a rational being who is making right choices for their own goodwill. The state has limited role. It can only interfere when the violation of freedom is done to harm others. The idea of negative freedom was supported by many scholars such as J.S. Mill, Locke, Hayek, etc., as it is closely related with the idea of liberalism. While negative freedom might sound like playing GTA 5, the game, in real life, it is meaningless for the people who are lacking basic necessities of life. How I understand negative freedom is it empowers individuals, but one cannot ignore the fact that we live in a society and our existence is highly dependent on another. And that's when positive liberty comes into play. So, positive liberty is when there is interference of state. In the concept of positive freedom, a person is rational but also a being who might get swayed by emotion and might make some choices solely based on impulse, and that is why government interferes to promote and provide justice. Positive liberty is based on morality, where mastering self control and understanding that the purpose and fulfillment in life only comes when we give to community and act according to the laws made by the government. The concept of positive liberty is old as human civilization, as it is about self realization. The critics argue that positive freedom promotes authority over citizens and question how individuals can be free when they are oppressed by the laws in personal matters. The concept of positive freedom is supported by Rousseau, Hegel, Marx, T.H. Green, etc. When I started to understand the meaning of equality and freedom in some sense, I question how they are related, whether freedom is necessary for equality or equality is necessary for freedom. Freedom helps an individual to have self realization, and on the other hand, equality is necessary for harmony in society. I think the relation of freedom and equality is complementary. The presence of both freedom and equality is necessary. Then only an individual in a society will live with a sense of fulfillment, harmony, and without fear of injustice, so they can achieve their true potential. The reason why concepts like freedom and equality exist because it makes us happy. We want to live in a world which is just and free, where one is leading a life with their own beliefs, purpose, where one is able to examine their life choices and where they are able to pursue alternative paths. Then only the purpose of equality and freedom is achieved. Thank you.